In the history of Southern Africa, the 1800s brought some drastic changes. This was the period that diamonds and gold were discovered in the region. Prior to the discovery of diamonds and gold in Southern Africa, there was this social and political reality of few migrant whites working towards controlling a whole lot of places in that region, mainly places that were economically rewarding, agriculture-wise. Well, the Boers, which were of Dutch origin, there were some elements of French, and also at a later time, a good number of the British joined. The discovery of diamonds and gold, mainly in the interior part of Southern Africa, generated certain changes. One of them was the quest for migration towards the region in order for the interested people, individuals, and groups to have access to this very wonderful treasure. And then this brought about some social and economic reality. Now, let's look at the documentation of J.D. Omakopa in his document captioned South Africa from the Great Trek to Unification, present to this day. In his documentation, J.D. Omakopa presented it this way. He stated that in 1867, the chance discovery of a diamond started South Africa's first mineral boom, and there was a rush to stake out claims to diamond digging. The Diamondiferous area fell within territory disputed between the Orange Free State, the Transvaal, the Griquas of Boer, and two Tswana tribes. So as the issue of control and ownership raged, there were movements of individuals, groups, and interested people towards the region. So the region we're talking about here is that the region where this diamond precisely was discovered. Most of these people came from parts of the world. Kevin Shellington, in his documentation, tend to explain it in this way. In his documentation, he wrote that the diamond fields lay to the north of what was then the British Cape Colony, in territories claimed by the Boer republics of the Orange Free State and the Transvaal, as well as the rulers and representatives of local Griquas, Tswana, and Kora residents. Thousands of people, black, white, from all over Southern Africa, as well as miners and speculators from Europe, America, and Australia, converged on the region. So the discovery of diamond, made a lot of persons to start moving towards the area where this diamond was discovered. And a good part of that area happened to be present-day Kimberley. Now, this development made the British to increase their desire to add the area to their territory. Now, before this time, the Boer Free States, or the Boer republics, which were Orange Free States and the Transvaal and few other settlements were independent of the British. But the British, as at that period, we are having running battles and disagreement with them because of their desire to control a good part of southern Africa. With the discovery of these mineral resources, the British started losing the interest of taking over that area. This was because the Boer as well were also working towards controlling that same area. But there were also some local administrators that were all interested in the same territory. For sure, these territories were actually in their territory. But these white-dominated territories were working towards taking over. So the desire of the British was to take action towards taking this territory. Now, let's look at the documentation of Kevin Shillington, how he explained it. In his documentation, he said that the British were determined to add this valuable territory to their southern African possessions. They set up a court of inquiry, which found in favor of the Griquas chief. The latter, meanwhile, had been persuaded to ask for British protection from the Boer republics. This provided the British with a justification, and they promptly annexed the territory. Thus, by the end of 1871, what was then the richest known diamond-bearing territory in the world had become the British colony of Griqualand West. Now look at based on Kevin Shillington's explanation, the action the British took after setting up the court of inquiry. They tend to back the traditional administration of Griquas, which was a local controlled administration. So before the inquiry that the British made in favor of Griqualand West administration, they had persuaded the leaders of Griqualand to accept British protection. So upon this action, then the British had the way was clear for them to annex the area. Well, the British takeover did not just happen easily anyway. This was because the Boer Republic of Free State and Transvaal were highly interested in the territory as well. In fact, the Boer operated in the territory. So the locals who controlled Griqualand West, were not comfortable with the influence of the Boer because of the conflict of interest and also the push for the Boer to control a whole lot of things. So they claimed that it made the control, the Boer tend to claim that the activities of the administration of the locals was not really very how do I put it? It was not really helping mining, This was because the Boer the locals, the Griqualand West administration, worked towards making sure that there was nothing like racial segregation in mining. But the whites, mainly, there were some Boers and some other areas, did not like that. So the policies of these Griqualand chiefs did not go down well with them. So they claimed that these policies were making the control of thefts and illicit diamond dealing by the Bantu mine workers practically impossible. And also, they claimed that the policies of these locals were encouraging lawlessness and immorality. Well, the fact could not really be far, because the basic thing there was that they wanted most of the whites that were involved in the mining wanted the normal racial stratification or racial structures to be put in place in that region. Well, let's look at the documentation of J.D. Omakopa as well. He stated that in 1875, the system was abandoned and the right to own and operate a diamond concession became an exclusively white privilege. The principle that in industry, as on the land, ownership and management should be white, while unskilled labor was exclusively non-white, was taking shape. While the control of diamond fields transformed from individuals, mainly whites, to white-controlled companies. This was because companies were able to raise higher capitals needed to continue the mining. By the late 1870s, the principal diamond mine had become huge open pits, needing expensive steam machineries to haul earth to the surface and also to pump out flood water. This reality brought some companies to the mining of diamond. Kevin Shellington went further to explain it in this way. He stated that the discovery, he went ahead to explain it in this way. He said that during the 1880s, one company, the Boers, grew to dominate all the others. It was owned by Cecil Rhodes, an English immigrant who had made an early fortune at the diamond fields in the 1870s. By 1889, De Beers had bought out all its rivals and so obtained a complete monopoly of diamond mining at Kimberley. So by 1889, De Beers had bought out all its rivals and so obtained a complete monopoly of diamond mining at Kimberley. While the activities of these companies, mainly that of De Beers, greatly strengthened the racial division and also worsened or strengthened the control of the whites. This was because the company used their monopoly to maintain the racial structure where the blacks were left to do only manual labor works, while the whites were allowed to take some privileged positions in the mining industries. Well, and then another thing was that the company also used the monopoly it had to make sure that wages were low. So those seeking to work had to accept 6 months contracts at lower wages than before. And then they were made to live in confined compound, fenced compound, separating them from their families and depriving them of any opportunity of finding alternative income. The mines of Kimberley in the 1870s employed up to 50,000 black workers in a year, but they were mainly allowed to do labor works, and none of them were able to rise up to anything higher. Please, if you're watching us for the very first time, subscribe to our channel, share our content. We will as well appreciate your contribution, because information, nobody has monopoly of information. Possibly the research we did may have alternative to them. Subscribe and click on the notification. We appreciate your being part of our channel. Thank you.